The sound of running water was supposed to be peaceful, but not today. Today, it's the sound of war. 5 tiny kittens standing at the edge of destiny, or more accurately, the bathtub. Their mother, Luna, a seasoned general, watches them with a proud, knowing gaze. Meet Sarah and Ben, a young couple armed with endless optimism and a bottle of kitten shampoo. They truly believed this would be easy. Just a quick rinse, they said, rolling up their sleeves with cheerful smiles. What could possibly go wrong? Famous last words. The kittens, however, weren't buying it. They peered up from the floor, their eyes wide with suspicion, as Luna lounged in the doorway, thoroughly unimpressed by the human's naive confidence. Milo, the brave one, or maybe the foolish one, was chosen as the first volunteer. He was carried towards the water with a false sense of security. But the second his tiny paw touched the warm, bubbly surface, chaos erupted. It started with one splash, then one high-pitched scream. And in that single moment, Sarah and Ben were filled with a whole lot of regret. The bathroom, once a sanctuary of calm, was now a splash zone, with Milo flailing midair like he'd been launched from a catapult, and Ben slipping on the freshly puddled floor. Next came Poppy Small, incredibly dramatic and armed with a voice that could shatter glass. Her cries were so powerful, they could have summoned the neighbors, the fire department, and possibly a few concerned ghosts. Before Sarah and Ben could even get a proper grip on her, she was gone. In a flash of orange fur, she transformed into a tiny, terrified mountain climber, clinging to Ben's arm for dear life, her mouth wide open in a silent, operatic meow. Sarah, towel still in hand, couldn't help but burst into helpless laughter at the sight of her partner being scaled by a furious, damp kitten. Then it was Nugget's turn. He seemed calm, collected, a furry little gentleman. Or so they thought. They managed to get him into the water, and for a glorious second, there was peace. But then, one single drop of water landed on his nose. That was all it took. In an instant, he transformed from a placid fluff ball into a miniature cyclone, spinning in the shallow water with his paws flailing wildly. In less than 10 seconds, the bathroom became a certified battlefield. Soap bubbles flew through the air like shrapnel, and through it all, Luna watched from the doorway with an expression of cold, detached amusement. Through all the madness, the splashing, and the shrieks, Luna sat silently, watching, waiting. She had seen it all before, but when little Dot, the shyest of the bunch, was placed by the basin and froze in pure, unadulterated fear, Luna did something no one expected. She gracefully rose, padded over to the tub, and stepped forward. With a gentle, Betty topier, she touched the water first, her calm reflection staring back. She glanced at Dot as if to say, "See? It's safe." And in that quiet, powerful moment, the little kitten mirrored her mother, tentatively dipping her own tiny paw into the water. But peace never lasts long in a room full of kittens. Just when Sarah and Ben thought they had a handle on things, they realized someone was missing. Pip the Wild One, the agent of chaos, had disappeared. And then came the sound. The splash. The scream. The stuff of legends. They spun around to see it. There he was not, just in the basin, but floating triumphantly in the big, human-sized bathtub like a tiny, furry sea monster claiming his territory. The aftermath was cinematic. Water overflowed. Ben shouted in surprise, and in the ensuing panic, Sarah slipped, landing right in the tub beside the triumphant kitten. Even Luna's fur puffed up in shock. Half an hour later, the storm had passed. The war was over, the kittens now clean, fluffy, and wrapped like 5 little burrito sleigh in a warm row on the bed. Their purrs a soft, rumbling chorus of contentment. Ben was soaked from head to toe. Sarah was still crying, but now from laughter. And Luna. She was most definitely sitting in a corner, silently judging them all for their incompetence. They thought it was over. They thought they had survived the great bath-pocalypse of the year. But 1 week later, they heard it again. A familiar sound coming from the kitchen. Splash, splash, meow. Cautiously, they peeked around the corner. The kittens had found Luna's water bowl. And this time, they weren't afraid. They were playing. They were splashing each other, batting at the ripples, and having the time of their lives. It turns out, they didn't hate water. They just wanted it to be on their terms. Now, every time the tap runs, 5 little faces appear as if summoned by magic eyes wide, paws ready for action. The fear is gone. The chaos, however, most certainly remains. Because love, much like bath time with kittens, is always a little messy, often unpredictable. But it's worth every single splash. If you smiled, laughed, or melted just a little, hit that like button and subscribe for more tiny adventures from Luna S family. See you in the next splash.